everybody. Welcome to the Witches Movie Coven. It is Wednesday. Grab your goat or two goats, as Richard Lale has. Grab your wands, grab a drink, and grab a keyboard because here we are tonight gathering together to talk about Wicked for Good. But before we do that, I am I am Heather Green. I am standing in for Patty Negri, who is off doing wonderful, wonderful witchy things in the world, www, right? And who am I? Let's start with that. So I am the author of Lights, Camera, Witchcraft. It is the critical guide of his witches and witchcraft in movies and television. I am also a journalist covering things occult in the mainstream media, as well as an editor at Llewellyn Worldwide, also working with wonderful witchy and occult authors. So I am, as I said, the host tonight, but I've got some of my co-hosts here tonight, and I will start by introducing or handing it over to Richard Lale. Who are you, Richard Lale?
Well, I am Richard Lale. Richard Lale is one name, not two. If I were just Richard, I'd be That's right. As you see here, it is one name. One name. Richard Lale is one name. I am known as the gentleman psychic. I'm a psychic and a medium, but I used to be a psychic and a small until I gained some weight. I am well known in the paranormal world. I was on Ghost Adventures a couple of times. I'm known from the University of Magicus and also viral internet memes that somehow happen to use my voice. But that's me.
Thank you. And you can see that several of our other regulars are not here tonight yet. Well, I'll say yet because Courtney Buckley is experiencing some technical difficulties, so she should be joining us very soon. So I'll let her introduce herself when she gets on. And Jason Mankey is off doing wonderful witchy things tonight as well, so he is not joining us, but we have our wonderful guests who many of you have seen before that have been here joining us and giving us their opinions and their commentary. So let's start with Jenny Bell, who was here last week. Welcome back, Jenny.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I am Jenny C. Bell, and I am an author. I am a podcast host of Cozy Coven Chats, where every week I just kind of share how to tune in with the season, how to live the witchcraft instead of just like, okay, it's not a full moon, so I'm not going to do anything. And I also have a Substack, which is in my little line here. I would love for people to join me there because that's where I'm actually can feel like I can be myself and be most truthful.
That's great. And thank you for being here tonight and joining us as well, who has also been here for many a podcast episode. We have Chad Hatter. Welcome back, Chad.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me. Best Aussian wishes.
And you're apparently an internationally ignored cosplayer, it says.
I am. Yes. I've done lots of really lovely, beautiful things that no one knows about.
Well, maybe you can tell us.
True. Everybody knows Chad. Are you kidding?
Oh, well, I think that somebody might recognize the something on your head as potentially a cosplay thing that might be not internationally ignored.
No. I when the first movie came out, I made a couple of these.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Well, we lost Chad for a minute, but guess who's back? Or guess who's here? Courtney.
Yes, she's back again.
Here's Chad. Well, let's go to Courtney right now. Hello, Courtney.
Hi, guys. Sorry I'm late. I had some technical difficulties, which also may have been the government watch list that I got put on, blocking me from being on the computer. So one of the two. But I'm here now, and I'm ready to go.
And well, we're glad you're here and you got through that. So, and Chad, we'll talk more about that hat when we come around. So right now, normally Patty would say, Richard Lale, why don't you give us your unbiased synopsis? So I think that's what we'll continue with that trend. So Richard Lale, do you have one for us today?
I do have an unbiased synopsis, but first, make certain to hit the like, the subscribe, all of your comments in the section over here. Those definitely help feed the algorithm so that we can keep doing this. And you can go right over here to Mystery Control. You can sleep with me. You can get into Patty's panties. You can dress like Chad. You can be a bro witch. You can quote like Courtney. You cannot mind it like Heather. You can read Heather's books. We've got all the things right over there at Mystery Control, Internationally Ignored Cosplayer right there. You can get Patty's books right there. Lots of things. So if you want to be like us, if you want to dress like us, you want to be closer to us, you can check that out. Now that we've gotten that part out of the way, let's talk a little bit about tonight's film. We are doing Wicked for Good, which is the part 2. It is not a sequel per se. Sequels oftentimes feel like that they are afterthoughts. This one was not an afterthought. This one was part 2 of a 2-part movie, though I hear that they may be doing another version, another part of the series. That being said, so here's the story about how my life got turned upside down. So we left off the last time with Elphaba flying and defying gravity. This time, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Ba-dum-bum.
That said, the wizard is a man who has no power and has somehow formed a cult of personality, and he has convinced everyone that he alone can fix it, and he puts people in cages, and he creates barriers, and he has bans that these beings are not allowed to travel or to be seen, or that they have to have their papers. And
thank God it's fiction.
Yep, right, fiction. And then through the aid of propaganda Fox host, Glenda, they find out that, of course, she's that beautiful blonde North Korea woman who says everything is great, everything is wonderful, the leader knows everything. And then, of course, she finds out that that's not true, and that she no longer can actually hide behind the mask of good. And so, with the help of Elphaba, of course, has gone on to sort of fight the wizard, because she's found that the wizard is nothing but a fraud. And along the way, she is using her magic, trying to do for good. But meanwhile, Dorothy's house flies through from Kansas to Oz, and then that's the side story. And so in this one, she encounters the Tin Man because he needs a heart, and she turns Fiyero into a scarecrow so that he can be preserved. And then, of course, in the end, Dorothy splashes the Wicked Witch of the West with a bucket of water. And, of course, Glenda is absolutely devastated. The wizard goes off, because that's what narcissists do. They don't care what they've done to the rest of the environment of the country, or whatever it may be. And then, as it turns out, that the Wicked Witch didn't melt. She didn't shrink. She was merely in a trap door, and Fiyero comes to rescue her. They go off and they sing a duet. Ariana Grande and Elphaba. I got the Glenda and Elphaba. They sing a duet from far away, and Glenda actually becomes Glenda the Good. She actually really is good. That's it.
Thank you very much for that very unbiased synopsis and extremely clear, detailed analysis of the plot. And at this point, I will step in to give some more facts and figures. I'll pull out my notes as I always do, and starting off with the basics. Wicked for Good. As Richard Lell pointed out, this is number 2 of 1. Number 2 of 2. Number 2 of 2. So this is Wicked for Good after the original Wicked, which came out last year, 2024. This was 2025. This one had a budget of $150 million. It has currently to date raised earned $527 million. It almost paid for itself within that first weekend. People were looking forward to seeing it because it was number 2. It nearly made that budget just in the first opening weekend. The second one's budget was a little bit slimmer, $145 million, and it has since rate. It has since earned 750 million. So it's done pretty well. Its opening was not quite as big, but then again, this was something people were looking forward to after seeing the first. So there's that. It is the same director, John Chu, screenwriter Winnie Holzman, and of course the composer Stephen Schwartz, who we'll talk about a little bit later. So this one, so number 2, I want to talk about the cast, and we've already talked about this cast because we saw them in the original. So I'm not going to do this quite as detailed as I might normally, but I'm going to list a few of the key players off in case you were interested. Of course, Ariana Grande, who was already mentioned. If you're interested, go see her in Don't Look Up, a fantastic movie that has also political implications. And she's been in Broadway and, of course, a pop star. We've got Cynthia Erivo. She was fantastic and got nominations for her role as Harriet in the Harriet Tubman movie. She's been nominated, one of the few, for Emmys, Grammys, Oscars, and Tonys. And she's won all of them except the Oscar at this point. I suspect we'll see an Oscar win at some point from her. Jonathan Bailey. Tin Man Scarecrow, of course, and Fiyero. He was known for Bridgerton, if you watch that, as well as in Jurassic World Rebirth, which made me viscerally angry.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's another conversation, Courtney. That movie made me viscerally
whenever.
angry. We'll talk about that another time. But yes, that is Jonathan Bailey. We've got Ethan Slater. He is, of course, Tin Man and Bach. That's right. I was gonna say Bach. He also at Broadway. He is also from Broadway. He played SpongeBob SquarePants at one point. Not surprising. Marissa Bodie. She is, of course, one of the few disabled actresses who actually played this character authentically. She is. This is what she's most known for. Jeff Goldblum. I don't know that we need to talk about what he's done. He's been around since the 70s. Of course, also a Jurassic Park fame. We'll talk about that and a number of other things. And I just recently revisited a movie called Nashville from the 1970s. He's super, super young. Highly recommend the movie. And you'll see a very young Jeff Goldblum with no lines, but he's there. Michelle Yeoh. She is, of course, in the Oscar-winning film Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And a number of other things. She's a fantastic actress. She's been a ton of things. I always remember first seeing her in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but she's been in all kinds of things. Very versatile actress. Other shout outs go to, of course, Bowen Yang, who's returned in a smaller part, and Peter Dinklage. He didn't really, I don't think he had any lines in this one, but he plays the professor, the goat. And one last one that I'm going to mention is Coleman Domingo, who I don't believe had any lines or was cast in the first one because his character was a little baby in the first one. He is the lion, the voice of the lion. And he, of course, was in Fear of the Waking Dead. You might recognize him from that. He also began on Broadway, like a lot of these actors and actors did. He also he had an Emmy for 4 seasons. He got an Academy nomination for his role in Rustin, which is a biopic. So another versatile actor with awards and accolades, and also starting on Broadway. So those are sort of an overview. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the origins really quick, because it's not often that we have a movie that has this deep and a web of origins and so deep in our cultural history. So Wicked, this movie, is the second of 2, as I already said, and as we've said. It is based on a musical, the musical Wicked the musical, which came out in 2003 originally. Fantastic, successful musical. That musical was based on a book that came out in 1995, written by Gregory Maguire. There it is, Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West. Now, that book is a spin-off based on inspiration from, of course, we would say, the Wonderful Wizard of Oz 1900. However, and this is where I'm going to get a little bit nerdy on you guys, is that actually the 1939 movie The Wizard of Oz has since in our cultural zeitgeist become almost more powerful than the original book. The book is the origin, but the movie has overtaken that. Now, the book has gone out of copyright. So we can base stuff off of it. We can use what's in that book. We can use the origin stuff, the silver slippers and whatever. We can't use the stuff specifically from the movie yet because it's not out of the copyright. It will go into the public domain, I believe, in 2035. That's the movie. That's going to be crazy when that happens, you know. But right now you can't. However, with that said, this movie, the musical, the book that Gregory Maguire did, owe a ton to the movie. You cannot separate it from the movie. It is most certainly has elements from the movie. And I'm going to give you one example. Green skin did not exist in the book. It only existed in the movie. And you can read why in my book. And I talk about that all the time when I do workshops. It's a fantastic story of why she has green skin. That is the movie. Another element is 2 witches. The original book had 4. The movie had 2. The movie was the first to create that dichotomy of good versus evil that we're really exploring in this. And that Stephen Schwartz explores in the musical, that Gregory Maguire is asking questions about in the book. So the movie is not, this movie is not absent. It does rely heavily on the movie, as 1939 movie, as well as the book. So those are the origins, and that's a whole conversation in and of itself. So now let me talk about Stephen Schwartz real quick. Stephen Schwartz is the composer. Stephen Schwartz's musical you've known, some of you, if you've been into musicals, but also into movies. Pippin, Godspell, Prince of Egypt, the musical, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Disney's movie, as well as Pocahontas, Disney's movie. Those are some of the ones that you might know. Most of his musicals tend to have spiritual themes. They tend to explore things that have to do with identity versus community versus responsibility to the people you love and around you, to yourself. They tend to have people who are trying to separate themselves because they feel ostracized. This is what we see in Pippin, and this is what we see in Godspell. Is all about community and love and compassion for fellow man. That's of course the what is it? The something of Matthew, the book of Matthew. Help me out here.
Gospel.
Gospel of Matthew. Thank you. Pippin, they have a lot of magic to do. It has to all do about Charlemagne's son trying to figure out who he is. You have searching for who he is. Pocahontas, we have the same thing. She just wants to know what's around the river bend, but yet she wants to be part of her family. And you have that over and over, Hunchback of Notre Dame, etc. This is the themes, and he's been asked about it. He says religious and spiritual stories are not something he seeks, but they seem to find him. It's something that he just explores. But he has not specifically said what religion he is or what that means to him, but it seems to come to him. So he's an interesting, if you like this time of music, it's definitely someone to explore. And I will say Pippin is probably one of my, if not favorite musicals ever written. Of course, Fosse was part of that, so that's part of the reason why. And then we'll talk about themes. So this is really important and gets back to what we were talking about last week with witches during the 2010s being figures that are oppressed. Women who have been oppressed, abused, hurt, harmed, and then turning to witchcraft. We saw that as a major theme in 2010, in the 2010s. We talked about last week how last week's movie, We Always Lived in the Castle, could have been a precursor to a witch film. Absolutely 100%. This is what we're seeing here. Now, interestingly enough, this was written in 95. When Gregory Maguire spoke, and I saw him speak, he said when he was choosing to write this film, when he was choosing to explore these ideas and write about it, what he was asking, the question he was asking was, What does it mean when people are labeled wicked? What does it mean when a society labels a group of people wicked? What does that look like? And why does that happen? And of course, in 1995, he was exploring, it was during the AIDS movement. It was during the backlash to the gay community. He himself is gay. So this was something very personal to him. He was trying to figure out why people are labeled wicked in certain communities and how that works. This is what he was exploring. He spoke about this very personally on the stage. It was fascinating, but you can see that coming out. And now when the first movie came out last year, lots of people complained that it was too political. And this is where I'm going with this. And my response to people's complaint was always like, read the book. Because the book is political. Witchcraft is political. And so this movie, more than the musical, because when people see the musical, it's not quite as pronounced because it's a shorter span of time and you're on the stage and it's not, there's not as much detail, because it can't be. It wouldn't have been a good musical if it had been. But this movie captures more of the book. These movies capture more of the book. So this second edition has more of those themes, and you see them. And you see these themes, I think already Richard Lale mentioned them, and I wrote a few down that are interesting to look at. You, of course, have fascism, repression, propaganda, manipulation, bullying. The musical was used as a part of anti-bullying campaigns during the 2000s. They used Elphaba as that. You have silencing dissent. You have themes and symbols of all of this happening. And I'm going to read one quote to you. And I apologize, Courtney, now if it's one of yours, but I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to say, let's move on, because you can take it or leave it, or you place it where you want. But the wizard says, I can tell them that I've been lying to them till I'm blue in the face, but it wouldn't make a difference. They'll never stop believing in me. Want to know why? Because they don't want to. He says it's the thing that they'll hold on to. So I want you to take that quote. Now, it's interesting that we can look at this stuff that's going on and apply it to what can be done on Fifth Avenue and nobody's stopped voting for you. The stuff is there. It is political. It was political in 2003, and it was political when Gregory Maguire first wrote the book on purpose. And I'll leave it at that. So who wants to go first and talk about how much they love or hate this movie? You're laughing.
So that's like a really strong question. I was going to say that I did read the book. My mother-in-law actually gave it to me, and we read like the first 4 when they came out. And then I took her to see the play in the Pantages. And we were like totally shocked, because it was like the book is so dark and so gritty and tragic. And then we went and saw the play, and the play was like super uplifting and really beautiful, and just like different in their own ways, like equally as powerful. I actually took a group of students, and I had several queer students in the audience with me, and just coming up afterwards with tears in their eyes and just feeling like seen. And that was so powerful, like as a teacher. And so I definitely see like the difference. And then the movie is like its own thing as well. Like I thought that when the movie came out, it would be so much like the play, and like the songs are there, but it's so much different. And then so much more like fleshed out. And you're right, it does kind of walk the line of the book and the play, and then also staying true to like the Wizard of Oz movie. It's very, very interesting. I definitely would like to hear everybody's kind of point of view on the good versus wicked, and like Glinda versus the Wicked Witch. And like because we kind of touched on it last week when we talked about the other movie of like the roles that women play. So it's like Glinda feels like she has to wear that mask of good in order to be like seen as a woman, to be heard, to be able to be respected. And then Elphaba completely rejects that, and then in turn inspires her, which I think is really beautiful. I'd love to hear everybody's kind of thoughts on that. And it's going dark because my cat is on the light.
Cheers to the cat.
Yeah.
Who wants to jump in?
I will, actually, on that point of the good and the bad. It was one of the things that did kind of bother me, honestly, because I feel like it perpetuates those Fox News stereotypes of, oh, well, or I was an infamous senator named with initials, only initials, MTG. And oh, now I realize that was bad. And oh, now I'm going to be real good. Like, that was kind of, I also thought she was addicted. She steps into the role of the wizard because she needs the adulation. She needs the praise. She needs to be loved. She needs that. It's this need within her, and that is a very dangerous place to be. And at the end, when Elphaba sort of leaves the book behind, now she's leaving this powerful book in the hands with someone who, for one, doesn't know how to read it, and two, what is she going to do? It's like, for instance, I used to live in California. I think Gavin Newsom is a POS. I think he is a fraud. I think he's a con. Will I vote for him if he is the one that? Yes, I will. But I think that he is slimy and greasy and doesn't actually exist in a world without DJT. It's two sides of the same coin, and that sort of is how Gavin is, how Elphaba is with the wizard, is that, yeah, it's bad, but... And I didn't like with the end, sort of, even though she gets her guy and she's happy with him, it's that whole trope of Bewitched of, okay, well, now that I've got my man, I'm going to leave my magic in the past. And that's the one thing that really bothers me.
Well, you have to keep in mind, Elphaba does not lose her magic. She still has all of her power. The only thing she does not have is the Grimoire, which she has spent 5 years studying. So the argument could be made she no longer needs it because she has memorized the magic within it. Otherwise, I don't think she would feel safe marching into the desert with no resources whatsoever unless she had the ability to protect them. The end is it's so upsetting. It's so upsetting because at the end, and anyone who's read the book knows this, at the end of the book, she hasn't actually done anything. She hasn't done anything good, and she hasn't done anything wicked. In the movie, we get to see her as a domestic terrorist, which I'm really upset we didn't get to see more of, because the entire opening sequence where she's, freeing the enslaved animals, the skarks that are pulling the machines that are building the yellow brick road, and fighting with the broom, and she surfs on it, and it's this incredible moment, and then it never happens again. And yeah, the ending is just it's a tragic ending, because like what have we learned other than you can fight and you can fight and you can fight, and sometimes you do have to give up. It's such an upsetting ending, and I if it was me doing it, I would have done something with it where I would have had, before Elphaba leaves, I would have had her set some kind of machinations in motion that topple the wizard's regime so that she achieves something, because she doesn't actually achieve anything by the end. And the other thing that's really upsetting too is we get to see in No Good Deed where she finally snaps, and then it just cuts to, song, scene, and there's no payoff for that moment where she decides to actually be wicked, and then it doesn't go anywhere. So the whole end of it is just, it's a bit of a bummer. As a Glinda apologist, I love that they actually gave her real magic at the end, but she had to experience tragedy in order to acquire it. She had to accept the responsibility in order for Oz to gift her the magic required to now lead Oz, because she gets rid of the wizard publicly because the people needed to see him leave, and she knew that. She gets rid of Madame Morrible quietly because no one really knows who Madame Morrible is. Madame Morrible, can I say the F word? No, she really screwed up by giving Glinda the political power that she had. You know, Glinda's power is entirely political, and the people love her, which allows her to take over. Everyone trusts her on principle, but Glinda also hasn't actually done anything. It's a wild thing to dissect, because it all exists entirely within labels, and who gets to decide, you know, who comes up with those labels. It's a fascinating thing to sit and pick apart.
And that's the contemplation I think that Gregory Maguire was having. Who gets to pick those labels? I think that's the perfect sentiment of what he was trying to get at. Who gets to pick those labels?
You know, there's a line in the Wizard song where he says, "It's all in which a label is able to persist." And, you know, labels are very powerful things, and especially when they're catchy. And being able to say, no, 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 that person did this. No, they're this. They're eating the dogs. They're doing. You know, it's frustrating. It's so frustrating to watch the movie, to read the book, and then to look out the window and be like, hey, it's happening out there too. It's what a time. What a time to be alive.
Well, if we can all take a page out of oh my God, I can't talk, Elphaba's book, like I have in the beginning of the movie, and just become domestic terrorists, because I'm pretty sure that's the watch list that was preventing me from logging into my email earlier. So, you know, it is what it is. It is, I think, watching that movie when it came out was powerful enough, and rewatching it now, after I eventually have now hit my breaking point, like, I see it very differently. And you know what? I totally see, Chad, where you're coming from with how unsatisfying the ending is, but then that also makes me feel inspired to not have the same one, you know, to do things, to make a difference, to do something and find that thing, whatever we can do. Because you know what? We have magic too. And it might not be, granted, the freezer spell I did a couple weeks ago, partially maybe that, but also, like, you know, humanity and the refusal to sit down and, you know, let human beings be treated the way that they are. And if that makes it so I can't get in my email, then so be it. But I think that when I saw this movie, I liked it better than the first one. And I think there was a whisper of that in me already when I watched it. I am a much bigger fan of the stage performance than I am of the movies in total. Weirdly enough, and I was expecting to be a snotting, sniveling mess after both movies, I didn't cry at all. The stage show, on the other hand, was the first time I had seen Wicked. I'm sure I've told this story on here before, but I was not warned. The only thing I knew about Wicked was like the general premise of it, and then the song Defying Gravity, which I could never hear without sobbing, just because it's a stage show and I'm so proud of everyone. I don't even know them, but I'm so proud of them. And I was unprepared for the fact that it was at the end of the first act, and that immediately upon finishing Defying Gravity, that the lights would come on. So everyone in the whole theater saw, like, just things running out of every orifice on my face. And it was probably the most embarrassing day of my life, but worth it. So yeah,
You didn't cry during for good?
Nope. No.
Bawling. I was bawling.
I lost it completely.
I don't know what it is, genuinely, because like I went into this expecting to be hysterical. Both movies. I thought that I would be a sniveling, hysterical mess. I don't know what it is. I almost feel like I don't feel connected to the characters in the movie like I do in the stage show.
I feel the same.
I've never read the book, so I don't have any opinions on that, but there's some disconnect for me for the movies. And it's not that I don't like them. I love them, but there's some disconnect for me with the movies that is not there in the stage performance. And I did not cry. And maybe
I cried mostly. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I just said maybe I have no soul. Maybe that's what that means. To be fair, the last time I watched Titanic, I also didn't cry. So
I didn't
that's
cry
a
at the
warning.
Titanic.
That's a warning.
I don't cry at Titanic.
I do every time, every single time. Not the love story part, at the real story part, when they're like kissing their children goodnight, knowing and putting them to bed, knowing that they're I can't. I'm inconsolable at that part. Jack and Rose, get over it, okay? You like, I don't care if it's a buoyancy issue or not. That door was big. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Not the point. I'll never let go, Jack. As I'm letting go, like, please, goodbye. I love that movie. I eat it up, but like, it's the real people part. So I don't know what it is about these movies. I thought I literally brought tissues. I was sure of it based off of how I reacted after the stage show, and I did not shed one single tear. And I think that means that, like the Grinch, my heart shrank 3 sizes.
No.
I cried. The part that I cried the most on was when she's singing about it's home and it's only rock and dirt and it's home and there's why should we give it up? And for me, this one is really hard because it's going to make me cry again. On my mother's side, we have been in the United States before. We've been here for thousands of years on my mother's side because she was Cherokee. On my father's side, we've been here since 1683 when we fled the tyranny of a monarchy in France. And for one solid year, I have had this panic attack and feeling like I need to run, I need to go, I need to get out of here, I want to leave. And isn't it worth fighting for? Isn't it? Why? It's just dirt and rocks, but why does it feel like home?
Because there's no place like home.
And that's where I lost it.
That song is, it's interesting because they wrote 2 new songs for this movie, and neither one got nominated for the Oscar. But No Place Like Home is a very interesting song to hear fans of Wicked talk about, because I was very fortunate that I was invited to a preview screening, and I dragged my sainted boyfriend, who is a normie. And so you can imagine what he has to put up with. And I dragged him with me, and I'm losing it next to him. And that song started, and it's so interesting to see Elphaba be vulnerable and watching her process it, because a lot of fans hated that song because they're like, no, we can't go from Defying Gravity into No Place Like Home. Like, why is she being sad? We don't want this. And it's like, no, she's allowed to have these emotions. Women are allowed to have these emotions. People are allowed to have these emotions. And my poor boyfriend just is watching me just sob the entire movie. But that song got him to tear up a little bit, and I was like, okay, he does have a soul.
I don't.
Because that song, but that song makes a really valid point, which is, yes, if you need to run, you can run, but like there is also an element of, we shouldn't abandon ship if we're not actually sinking. And it's heartbreaking. And if you get a chance, do watch the extended version of that song, because there is an extended piece of it where after the animals have left, she flies, back to the home she grew up in, and she lands in the garden, and it's a beautiful set that you never see in either movie. And she says, I swore I would never come back here, but now I'm back because ultimately there's no place like home. And she looks up, and there's this banner hanging that says, "We stand with the wizard, beware the wicked witch." And it's just like, Jesus God. It's so it's rough.
My own mother before she passed, my own mother was a trumper. And I told her, I said, Mother, you are a victim of SA. This man is a PDF file. And she said, no, it's just because he's in a state of power. I said, Mother, this man wants people like me to no longer live. Well, I'm praying for you. And until the day she died, she had a sign out in front of her house for the wizard.
Richard Lale, my father, who was also a PDF file and supported the other PDF file, had the audacity to die on voting day, the first election. And I had to go sit with his dead body instead of going to vote. But he got to mail in his vote. And I've carried that since 2016.
Wow.
So I feel that pain. I'm sitting right in it with you.
Yeah, this movie has a lot of it's more than just a musical, which people sometimes dismiss musicals as being not valuable, like they're just musicals. And being a musical lover, I will wholeheartedly disagree, and this is proof. And they really did a beautiful job. There's obviously from our stories, you can see there's personal stuff, and there's more we're not even bringing out here. That it's the personal stories between the characters, as well as the broader political statements and conversations that Gregor Maguire embedded into it, as well as now are just coming out because of what we're all experiencing in real time. So thank you for sharing, guys. That's pretty beautiful. But looking at the time, do we have any quotes that maybe
I do. And you did steal one of mine, and I'm going to repeat it because it bears repeating. Nope, I'm not mad.
I apologize.
No, don't apologize, because you know what? Let's say it as many times as we need to before it starts sinking in. I will start with a few other ones. Elphaba saying they need someone to be wicked so that you can be good. Feels important. Elphaba says we can't let good be just a word. It has to mean something. And I think that is also very important for right now, especially. And then lastly, I have the whole conversation because I think it's important, so I'm going to read it. Elphaba said, I would give anything to go back to a time when I actually believed that you were wonderful, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. No one believed in you more than I did, but there's no going back, and we can't move forward, not until everyone knows what I know. And once they know the truth, and the wizard interrupts and says, they're not going to believe it. And she says, how can you say that? And he says, well, I'm just being straight with you. I could tell him that I'd been lying to him till I'm, forgive me, blue in the face, but wouldn't make any difference. They're never going to stop believing in me. You know why? Because they don't want to. And then he sings, and I'm not going to sing, but take it from a wise old carny. Once folks buy into your blarney, it becomes the thing that they'll most hold on to. Once they've swallowed sham and hokum, facts and logic won't unchoke them. They'll go on believing what they want to. Show him exactly what's the score. They'll just believe it even more. So wake up. And those are my quotes.
Mic drop. Well, thank you. Do we have a Mankey movie minute? I think somebody might have
I do have a Mankey movie minute. Now, he did not like my fern wig the last week. So out of respect for him not liking my fern wig, I will wear a towel wig to be Jason Mankey. I think the fern was funnier. Oh, who cares?
Yes. I'm texting this to him right now. Hold on. Wait, Richard Will pose. Yep, got it.
For anyone who did not watch last week, we had the fern last week as well. So
we had the fern last week. And I thought, you know what? I'll do a towel this week, but the towel is not. It doesn't have the golden locks. And since I'm green, why not? Jason Mankey-ish. Yes, that's right. Okay, let me do my Jason Mankey. So here's the thing about tonight's movie. I didn't know what I was going to do because on one hand, it's a musical and people just don't walk around singing all the time. I mean, I don't know. Richard Lale might. I know Heather Green does. I know Patty Negri might. Courtney Buckley might as well. But people do not just go around singing all the time. That being said, I think that this film strikes at the heart of humanity, and it shows us that people cannot be treated as animals. Sentient beings are sentient beings. And when you have home, it is your home. That being said, I am vocal on all of my social media pages because I feel that I owe a thing to be wicked for good. And as a witch who wrote 10 books, I use my witchcraft for good. That's about it.
Witchcraft.
That was terrible.
It was terrible. Last week's was better, but it was funnier last week.
Oh, I have another quote actually that has nothing to do with this. Well, it's not from this movie, but feels like it's very topical. And it's based off of, I think, a proverb. But it says the best. I've been seeing this go around, and I feel like it bears repeating, but it also maybe goes hand in hand with this. But it's worth talking about. The best time to take action was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So, just to share.
Thank you. I think, Chad, I see you're about to talk. I was going to ask you about the lovely thing above your head, not your hat.
Okay.
But you could share what you were about to share. Sorry.
I just was going to say this has been a very heavy conversation, and I have another really heavy thing I want to add to it. And then I had a second thought about it, and I was like, maybe I should try to make things a bit more lighthearted for just a moment. And I was going to talk about all the pretty dresses in the movie, but no, the thing that I just took down off the wall, because I know we're going to have to display wands and cackle in a minute, is I have Elphaba's broom, and it's so big I can't show the whole thing. So give me just a minute, and I'll Vanna White it as best I can across the screen. And it's a whole monstrosity that lives up there because there's just no room for it to go anywhere else. But it does have this nifty little trick, which it stands on its own. So I've got it sitting on the floor next to me, just waiting patiently. Now, I did want to say, did anybody have any favorite costumes they wanted to talk about real quick? Because usually I'm brought here to talk about costumes, and we haven't done any of that. So I feel like I'm betraying my principles.
Talk about the hat, Chadwick.
Okay, so this is a replica of Elphaba's hat that I made, it's all hand-stitched. It's micro-pleated chiffon. It's 7 pieces that kind of all fit together to create the hat. It's actually signed by the director and the costume designer on the inside. And I chose to line it with pink because I figured since the hat was made by, Galinda's grandmother, there'd be an element of Glinda in it. And this is the hat specifically from the first movie, because the hat in the second movie gets bigger and she looks more like Margaret Hamilton in her silhouette. So that's that. And then I know producer Rob asked me for photos, and we haven't used any of them yet. So I did also just want to throw out, I've replicated a bunch of the costumes. That's Elphaba's coat. That's the male version of it on my buddy Logan, and then there's the two of us as Galen the Good and Elpha Bro.
I'm living for this.
This is from WonderCon last year. That's my friend Shannon as Elphaba, my friend Felicia as Glinda, and then one of their friends came as John Chu. So he's actually cosplaying John M. Chu from one of the photos that was in Variety, and no one got that that's what he was, but it's a good time. This is from before we knew what the hat looked like, and we were just going off of really grainy paparazzi photos. So we knew it had some kind of lines on it, but we couldn't figure out what it was. And so I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if it was this kind of cork braid that started in the back and then spiraled up? And so that was how the first hat was made. And then that coat is several hundred strips of fabric sewn together. So all of those lines you see are individual seams to create the textile that then gets cut into the coat. And then we also did flying monkeys. Now, our flying monkeys are absolute eldritch horrors, as you can see. They're based off of the ones in the Broadway show, but the faces are sculpted to look a bit more simian, I guess you could say. But that's our Madame Morrible. That's Richard, Layla, and I's friend Veronica as Madame Morrible, and our friend Rusty as the wizard. And it's been a lot of fun taking these characters to different conventions because little kids see Elphaba and they squeal and go running up. They're not afraid of her. They go running up to her and they want to hug, and it's really, really, really sweet. Plus, I mean, when you've got those monkeys flanking you, I mean, heavens.
Beautiful.
Wow. Well, I guess that's amazing work, and I don't know who my favorite dress was. I can't even, like, I was so focused on the music and everything and the whole thing. I'm not sure. I have to go back and I'll get back to you on that, chat, from myself on which is my favorite dress. Wow. Anyone else favorite dress?
You should show your wand. You should show your wand, because you didn't show that, and this is the one where Glenda gets her wand.
Yeah.
Look at this. Is that not?
That's amazing.
It's very time consuming to make. I don't know if you can tell, but these are all Swarovski crystals that are on it. Very, very time consuming work. And then this is the end with the finial. It's a little pink bauble with more crystals. And again, this is the slightly scaled up. I call it the man version because this is the one that I carry around. So the star is a little bit bigger, but it looks more dangerous than it actually is because these are all flexible.
Oh, wow.
So they're not glass. They're plastic. It does break if you drop it though. We learned that the hard way when it got snagged on a drag queen during a performance and was flung across the room. But yeah, so my poor roommate has to deal with brooms as an invasive species and now wands as well. And
Which life?
I consider myself a low rent sorcerer.
Low rent.
Well, I think it's time actually that we need to start to vote wands up or wands down on Wicked for Good. So let's have it, everybody. Wands up or brooms
I don't have a broom. I have a feather
broom?
duster.
Broom, wands up.
I'm doing tentacles up. I don't know if anyone can see that.
Tentacles.
Oh, wow.
That's
Jenny, is that sort of sideways? Are you?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I didn't like the first movie. And then I wasn't super excited to see this one. And then I think about like rewatchability. Like it's a full wand up if I'm going to watch it or like force other people to watch it. I don't know if I would do that, but I appreciated it. So I will give it a half.
I love the critical Jenny Bell like wand choice. Like I love that there's a
system.
Scale. Yeah.
Is that an up or a broom down? Because Chad, we can't tell. The thing's so big.
It's supposed to be up. I'm holding it upside down though, only because I think the brush is more spectacular. I've turned my phone sideways though because I wanted to read what the comments were saying. But yeah, definitely broom up.
Wands up. It looks like we have wands up mostly in the comments. Wands up. Even if it was a musical, says Colin. Yay! Wands up for musicals.
I think mine wavers. I don't like the ending, but I
feel that, Richard, though.
I don't know. Maybe I'll dust the corners.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Anyone else have anything to say about this movie? Or the first one? No? Okay. As Chad puts the broom back in its place. I think the next thing is seeing if anybody has anything really exciting going on over the next couple weeks.
Next week?
Oh, next week. That's right. We are doing Labyrinth.
Labyrinth. No, it's not Pan's Labyrinth.
No, it's Labyrinth from the 80s, from 85, I believe, or 86. Oh,
Chadwick wants to be invited back next week.
Can
Chad,
I
I
please be
will
on
not
that
be-
one? Pretty please.
I will not be here next week. If you would like to fill in for me, you're welcome to.
I will be more than happy to check my soul at the door and just come right. I can absolutely in a heartbeat. I love that movie.
I have a confession. I have never seen it.
Wow.
Oh, we're going in the freezer. I think we're going in the freezer.
Oh, Chad's taking you to the freezer, Richard Lale.
This is my favorite part of every time Chad's on is when we go in the freezer.
I have
Yep.
not seen a lot of pop culture movies. You know why I haven't seen a lot of pop culture movies? Because
Why?
they're not the Addams Family or the Killing Tree.
There you go. Thank you for the
Well,
killing.
we are now in the freezer.
How did our freezer feed get cut? Because we need to see when we come out of the freezer. I need the freezer feed. I live for this.
I know.
That is why.
There's not very good Wi-Fi in the freezer.
Oh my
I just-
goodness.
There's not good Wi-Fi in the freezer. Our kitchen is a dead zone for internet. And so normally when I'm on the show, I'm at our friend V's house, and her house gets great reception. So I can throw you into the freezer and you're fine. But oh no, not here.
Hey, Chadwick. The rash. It's gone.
It's gone.
What else?
So
How are we gonna bring up Labyrinth with David Bowie and all he's got going on, and also a rash in the same sentence? I'm concerned.
yeah.
No, because it's the Addams Family. It goes back.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Chadwick,
Okay,
good news.
The rash. It's gone.
See, it's the Addams Family. It's the Addams Family.
So on that note, does anybody have anything going on, Courtney?
I do. I don't know if we still have the graphic, but we are coming up, and this is why I won't be here next week, but we're coming up on the there it is, the Anti-Valentine's Day tour, my tour baby. So you can head to salemghosttours.com to purchase your tickets. It is back and more bitter than ever. The Anti-Valentine's Day tour is the only after dark trolley ride exploring romance gone wrong in Salem's twisted history. It returns gothier, gloomier, and laugh your guts out funnier. Come be miserable with us during the first 2 weeks of February, whether you're on a solo date, trying to impress your new ghoul friend, unhappily married, or having a single witch's night out. It is the perfect pity party. It's perfect for couples, singles, exes, thruples, divorcees, friends with benefits, friends without benefits, and hockey rivals with sizzling hot romantic tension. And I got to preview it last week. We have the guides that we're sending out. They did an amazing job. It was so fun. So I know that they're going to do a great job this year. And if you buy your tickets and you show up, you may just see a familiar face. So keep that in mind. Again, salemghosttours.com, and it is running until the 15th.
Yay. Thank you, Courtney. Anyone else? Yep. Jenny?
Yeah, so it's not until the end of April, but Portland will be hosting its second Spirit Northwest, and I will be there. I'm super excited. I'm hoping it's something that happens every year and that I could be a part of. But so tickets are on sale. I'll be teaching how to craft your own spell and rituals.
Hey, I might actually be at that, so see you in person. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I'm easy to find. I'm the gentleman psychic. I'm everywhere. I do seances here in my witch castle in New Orleans. I also do readings in person. You can catch me all over. I'm really easy to find.
Chad?
You can find me on all social media as Chad Hatter. I don't really do much TikToking anymore, but I'm all over Instagram. I don't have anything really coming up. I will be performing on Friday night in a sketch comedy show at Gallifrey 1, which is the Doctor Who convention. The show is called The Idiot's Lantern, where I play the Sixth Doctor. But that's really, unless you're going to be at the convention, I don't know. I don't know if anyone will know that that's happening, but that is going on Friday night. And yeah, I don't really have much else going on. Just making hats and being loud.
That's good enough. That's a lot. And I am going to be in 2 weeks at Sacred Space, which is one of the biggest pagan conferences of the year. Sacred Space and is joining with Between the Worlds. It's in Maryland. I think we have a graphic for that. Hopefully it'll pop up soon. And I also am going to plug where Jason Mankey is going to be, because it is the other. There you go. Sacred Space Between the Worlds. That is in College Park, Maryland, in 2 weeks. And at the same weekend, we have Convocation, which is, I believe, the longest running and biggest of the conferences. And Jason Mankey will be at that one. And then Patty, Jason, and I will all be at Paganicon, which is another one of the big conferences at the end of March. And we'll have more on that one in future shows. So I guess, is there any, I just got a pop-up information. Patty Negri is right now live. And hold on, it disappeared. So
Winchester Mystery House.
Thank you, at the Winchester House. So she is live doing that right now. And I know Patty has lots of things going on, and I'm sure that is on her website. If you want to know, there's the website. You can find out where Patty's going to be. And I'm sure when she returns to us next week, she'll give us the short synopsis of everything that she did tonight, as well as Jason. So I guess we are at the end of our show, and there's only one thing left to do, everybody. I guess we have to do the Wicked Witch of the West cackle. Are you ready? Chad? Hey, we're back in the freezer.
Bueller.
You might be in
Bueller.
Well, are you ready, everyone? We'll wait. Chad can join us later. 1, 2, 3.